guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of On the Line. Today I'm going to be forwarding the episode out to Russ Hamilton. Russ Hamilton's a good friend of mine. Been in the business for about 30 years. He's a retired sergeant from San Quentin. He's worked with juveniles. I mean, he just has a vast experience in this world of corrections. We've been working on the show I do on the side, Cheer Talk, for many years now, and we continue to advocate for the profession every day. And he's going to discuss a pet peeve that we both have. A pet peeve where we have new people asking for help, and the people that are in the position to help them are sarcastic about it or just don't care and dismiss the person needing help. Kind of like that sink or swim mentality. And that's something that we need to put a stop to, especially in this profession. You can never have somebody sink. We should do whatever we can to keep them afloat. And when they have questions, when they admit that they're vulnerable and they have a question that they need answered, we should embrace that. Because if we don't, eventually they will have questions, but they won't want to ask them. And then we wind up getting an employee that's either going to be lost, which still is going to pose a threat, or they'll go to another resource, which could be the inmate population. Again, when you're in desperation for an answer, you're going to go where you can to get that answer. And that's why we need to be that resource. We need to remind them that we're here for you. And that if you need anything, you can come to us. It just kills us when a person admits they're vulnerable, asks a question, and then you get that one who just is either sarcastic or just dismisses it. But go ahead, Russ. This is your show, your topic. What's your thoughts on this?
Hey there, Cheer Talk fans. Russ Hamilton here from Keepers of Chaos. Anyway, I had this thing happen the other day. I was in one of the forums, and there was an officer who had asked a question in there. And it was just basically a question of he's going through the training process. He's at his institution. And, you know what, I guess he's just kind of having a hard time picking up a couple of skills, a little bit of a hard time maybe talking to the inmates. And he's just asking for some advice. So I got in there and I rattled off a couple of things, and some other guys got in there and stuff. And then someone else came in and said, just go find another job. You know, and it really struck me, you know, the position that corrections is in right now with regards to not having enough people. You know what? It is absolutely true that this job is not for everybody, but that doesn't mean that it's not for anybody. That doesn't mean that you can just, you know, say, well, you know what? You've been here a couple of weeks or whatever. It's just not working out. Go along. It's not the way it works, folks. You know, there's a lot of people, I would say maybe everyone that's ever done this job that doesn't have, you know, some experience in it, has a little hard time adjusting. Maybe can't quite figure a few things out. Maybe just needs a little bit of help from some of their brothers and sisters on the line out there. For us to just be so negative, to just say, well, go find another job. This job isn't for everybody. You know, just be gone with you. What about, you know, making sure that that's the right decision? What about, you know, seeing if this person can catch on? And it's going to take them some time. Perhaps even if they're the best candidate out there. What are we doing? Are we cutting off our nose to spite our face? Just deciding that that's the way it is? You know, the reason that I'm standing here in front of a camera doing this right now is because of what happened to me on my very first shift. It wasn't my first day. I had a week of orientation, but came in on my first shift. San Quentin, Death Row, East Block, Bayside, 5th tier. All right. So I went there, got there plenty early, like 45 minutes to an hour earlier. Went up there because, you know, I wanted the officer to have plenty of time to give me the lowdown and stuff. He just kind of looks at me, drops everything on the table, you know, the keys, the baton, the radio. the cuffs and everything and just turns and walks away. Right? On death row. What are we doing, people? This whole sink or swim mentality has got to go. It's dangerous out there. Yeah, there's probably some candidates out there that do belong in another line of work, but it's not up to you guys at that bottom level to sort that out. It's up to you to try and bolster them up, make things as safe as possible, and try and pass on and impart some knowledge and some skill sets to them. And, this is not the first time that I've run into this out there, and I think that we really need to take a step back and look at what we're doing when we're calling ourselves professionals. You know what a professional does? Professional makes sure that the person that comes in there that doesn't have any time in, that doesn't have any experience, that needs some guidance, gets that guidance. So let's make sure we do that. You've got some officers out there on the front lines that are the haters. They are negative and they hate everything and everyone. Even the officers that they respect, they hate those guys too. And so when someone new comes along, they just hate on them more and put those people in a position of not having anyone there to back them up, not having anyone to guide them along. It's just hate, And then we've got some officers out there, really, they have great skill sets and stuff, but maybe they feel like they can't be bothered, or maybe they're being influenced by those haters out there. Let's not be those people. Let's be those, consummate professionals that get in there and try and fix that person. And I think everyone, when they first start, needs fixing. I'll tell you, man, my first year was a rough one. I had all kinds of issues and problems and, couldn't really talk to inmates. And then at some point, all of a sudden I started catching on. And I made some really cool busts and things started coming together for me. And I was writing some really long ass reports and I got caught up in some really serious, deadly situations. And then things just started flowing. All right. I think I turned out all right. There's a lot of people out there that are going to turn out all right. They're going to be serviceable, or they're going to be good, or maybe they're going to be even excellent. Let's find out. Let's give them a chance. So, my request to all of you out there is not to be that negative Nancy that's always just looking to, put down. Someone says, I've been having a hard time, and just go find another job. Well, who are you to say that? Maybe you're not the most excellent of officers if that's your initial reaction. Maybe you should be the one looking for another job. Sink or swim isn't cool. So anyway, this is just my 2 cents worth. Just had to blow off a little bit of steam about this. I think mostly because I've worked so hard, to try and provide content to Tier Talk with Anthony Gangi and to try and bring, knowledge and content and training. And then over on Keepers of Chaos to try and give officers that really want to focus on that professional aspect, to give them a place where that's what's concentrated on. And, just having people that fill a room with negativity, it just sucks all the oxygen out of the room. This is a worthwhile career. I loved doing it. That doesn't mean I loved every minute of it. It's hard. It's difficult. It's dangerous. And sometimes you don't know who the enemies are, except for the inmates. You always know them. But I think we need to, take a step back and be able to, push forward and talk about the good aspects of it. I'm not talking about sugarcoating anything, but I'm talking about, someone comes into a room and asks about being a better officer, or asks what you would do in a situation, or wants your input on what it's like to be an officer. Spend a minute if you can, give them an honest appraisal about it. Tell them, well, you know what? There's some great things about it. There's some not so great things about it. There's some things that it's going to bring out in you that are going to be fantastic. There's some things it may do to your personality that aren't so good. But we can have an honest discussion without just dismissing people out of hand. You know, this guy that asked that question, who knows how he's destined to end up? You know, he might quit. He might quit because of that. He might go on to be a pretty good officer. He might go on to be an officer that saves somebody's life. He might go on to promote up the chain of command. He might promote up the chain of command and end up finding ways to help all kinds of people on the line. Find ways to, help them promote. Find ways to make them safer. Find ways to get them the gear they need. Find ways to get them the pay that they deserve. All right? Find ways to get them the training that they need. Or he can just go find another job. Anyway, this is Russ Hamilton. Hope everyone out there is staying safe. Stay aware. Stay frosty. See you guys around.